with that said, I'm going to read a couple of poems. Well, it's actually one poem, but it's two parts to it. This is a little trick I learned from Johann de Witt. In low light environments, printed out on A3 so you can actually read it. Yeah, so in terms of the hauntology thing, I'm using a poem by H.P. Lovecraft, which is written in the 1920s, and splicing it with a Call of Cthulhu scenario called Dark Carnival, which is from the 1980s, I think. So I'm hoping the kind of repetitions and the kind of stillnesses and the sort of roundabout things, that the kind of trapping within a cycle of repetition and a removal of the future, so to speak, comes out of that. But I've got a second part of the project where hopefully the echoes will be a little bit more obvious. So yeah, clever, kind of reworking the past here. Anyway, so The Nightmare Lake, from the Lovecraft and the Curse of the Chthonians, Dark Carnival. Curse of the Chthonians is the supplement, Dark Carnival is a scenario question. Oh, I should say the word keeper comes in here. For those of you who don't know anything about role-playing games, the keeper is the same thing as the games master. It's just in Call of Cthulhu, the person is called the keeper. That's not especially important, but I'll just mention that. The Nightmare Lake, from the Lovecraft and the Curse of the Chthonians, Dark Carnival. There is a lake, it is the roaring 20s, but tumbled down, beyond the wanted, bloody and raving stumbled. A single bloody shoe in a hideous state. A spirit dead and probably murdered by person or persons unknown. Ancient and unholy in his rear pants. Heavy with fearsome, I was at peace whimper. Which from the waters dull and dense is definitely a phony affair of clapboard. Mire of clay. Draws, clowns and similar adornments cursed with that caused it mire of clay, if a much more fearsome game is required. Filth and odour things, damage done, sprawl in approximately carny people. And cautious birds that 2 foot black that eyed Ulster are damn accurate, nevermore poster out. Here shines by, ring also renders, lair is where, on glassy whom he ate, and not unattractive by none. Promiscuous this, and hereby handy with a meat flow, into the Angus is completely nuts, that yawn use it in blood. The investigators only is it told. What scenes outside are locked, these beams certifiably and homicidally insane. That same hatchet, too old for human, to a dead white fascination with fungi. Dank and fungus sunken, semi-human worshippers trick pivoting. Of terror are shunted in those depths, ghouls are always guns do half. The shadow's lair is the entry, race edge of the hole. That such outsiders, one midnight redolent of a former investigator, I saw that lake asleep and graves trick hatch, while in the lucid occasionally enter the upper with 1d8 tentacles. A gibberish moon that glowed and vast and deliberately, I saw the stretching such a zombie would cost. Bulldog is personally sure. Vast and deliberately foul things thoughts, and unusually must marshless. Scream if they are lizards and snakes, torso that will and dying. Ravens and it is the roaring 20s, putrefying, all dark carnival and hovering over the, alas the applejack. Narcophagi that amazingly it is just that. And the dreadful moon, Freddy cats and he, frightening the stars, is definitely a phony. I saw the lake's heavy makeup and standing. Amazingly it is just that. Sunken things appeared, basalt in the swan. There shone breeding and bestiality fathoms down. The staring over the water of a forgotten as he remembers them. The it is brass and weighs some 400 pounds, domes and heavily baffled. Weed tangled, him come out, and empty little Freddy Pendergast. The messy incident, fanes and vaults of certain sequence, and streets of a corner of this keeper. These I believe, these I beheld cold drink stand, and saw beside certain sequence, a hoard of under-earth venom, evidence for the watching glide. And noxious, his thoughts are the animal's hoard, which to my resident clown seemed moving in a outside our locked ring also renders, and bully boy, slimy sepulchres that lay drop the wrong, beside a never dying in the manner way. Straight from those certifiably and homicidally insane, a heaving uselessness whereupon that tolerated lush, the waters be a prime repose, marble mantle, this larval lethal ring seep of upper space. Howled at the eyed bolster, bite and bolt sardonic stab jutting. Then scream if they are the lake within its bed. Put an icy down to caverns of the I seed what I see, till from the reeking lair is the entry, stripped, curled, fetid, be baddies of noisome, be sure but about to match twice, nigh forthwith horrid, the monstrous dancing guns do half. When lo, there, arts, using the French, with sudden drop the wrong, the portal of light devotion crime about him. No ear pick in his coat, no tongue ring and make. A 9-inch long nameless horror then forward to his eye murder of 5 nuns that lake, that yard-long crow, that contorted into all sorts, and the things inoperable happenings there. Waking, I pray that the hoochie-coochie on that decay into ritual liquid, slack wire artist nightmare, booth and ride, may sink local colour and canon. So that's the first part. I should say, for those of you who don't know, H.P. Lovecraft is a well, not really Gothic, but a cult horror writer from the 1920s. His writing is appalling in most ways, especially his poetry. It's awful. But my project here is to translate it into better English, or so I would hope. The stories are fantastic. The mythos poems are fantastic in terms of the ideas and the stories, but the overuse of adjectives and nouns is a tick that with Lovecraft makes it amusing to read, but also badly written from a prose point of view. The Nightmare Lake Dark Carnival edition from the Lovecraft and the Curse of Chthonian's Dark Carnival. So all this material comes from the Call of Cthulhu scenario. It is the roaring 20s, but tumbled down, bloody and raving, stumbled on hinges, grave in the burying, a single bloody shoe is secretly mad. Probable murder by person or persons unknown. Little Freddy Pendergast with no Freddy visible. The messy incident, him come out, the city dump. I was a peace whimper. Just up and swallowed, cautious like that. I seed what I seed. The actual Abner Weems. Alas, the Applejack, inoperable, the sweater and his tail, with dried mucus. McIntyre's feet were still within his shoes. If a much more fearsome game is required, I want to say gruesome there. If a much more gruesome game is required, in his rear pants. Bulldog is personally, he is unmarried. That caused it. A clapboard, a band of Protestant black magic worshippers. Amazingly, it is just that. Individual, he has had the weird corpses. One on the force, a retired school teacher gone wrong in the hobo jungle. He knows nothing that cannot be, a mad monk, stews of dubious fellow pedant. Put an icy, criminally late books, leads if they ask, up such leads, or at play, our hearts and hope. Fraidy cats and he, such useless stuff, staring over the water, glop in the leaves. clowns and similar adornments. Maze is one, of any real interest. Someone who has, it is brass and weighs some 400 pounds, horrors occasionally. Specimen carries a single, is definitely a phony murder of 5 nuns. He was not a country fool, heir of clapboard. The entire amusement, breeding and bestiality, pickled in a bottle, be a prime, strange little books or not, entirely up in the menagerie lost for this ghoul, a really startling array, mention the stink, do either vanish, filth and odour geezer who is not gruesome goings. Corner of this keeper, marble mantle, certain sequence. Of old black, this larval damage done, special motors, people do the cooking, heavily baffled and more potent, switch from inside, one arm torn off till winter or fall. Ghouls behind an ambush, only half normal and horrific, worm things him physically. Them at that, acid leads, thoughts the viewer. Ring also renders ring seep, body quakes, misty times of the serpent people. By crawling, ritual, liquid, continue to rot, and flying polyps dig uselessness, whereupon 2 foot black, delivered to the ones, the hoochie coochie, earthy and ethereal, hollow-bladed, under-earth venom, damn accurate, dead or unconscious, heavy makeup and standing. I ain't no bootlegging scruffalo, capable of bending. There is second-eyed Ulster. His thoughts are the animal's resident clown, bite and both whom he ate. Poster out, their noisome religion, local colour and canon, promiscuous this, handy with a meat-like devotion, drop the wrong, pearl-handed straight, dying in the manner, and not unattractive, a 9-inch long, somewhat disciplinary with the unbeliever. Angus is completely nuts, slack-wire artist, the 3 most dangerous arts, using the French, use it in blood, thoughts and unusually must, amazing India rubber, forward to his, match twice, yard-long crow, around and acting, the investigator's avid cannibal, 4s than standing, to be a living man under British and bully boy, force and sinister decay into pick in his coat, stab jutting, certifiably and homicidally insane. The same hatchet, booth and ride, crime about him, ring and maiming, twice normal base. Fascination with fungi, to a dead white, add to any san, peer having. Be baddies, happening there, glowing eerie by their human, semi-human worshippers. Holes, locks, the public rest, trick pivoting. Of terror are shunted victims, small, small car. Graves trick hatch, basalt in the swant. Outside are locked, lair is where ghouls are always, here are promptly eaten. Guns do half. Lair is the entry, as Chthonian's edge of the hole with 1d8 tentacles. This monster decides the pow of the humans, tolerated lush, such a zombie would cost. Chthonian and our deformed congenital, Sultana can attack to have overcome a fungus himself. Contorted into all sorts, heavily made up, scream if they are, horrible things costs a former investigator. To gratify some torso that will, zombies which are covered vast and deliberately, be sure but the earth's vitals, and gruesome the commands of human forth with horrid, simply asking evil buildings, stick to the upper, that such outsiders in no case or go insane, evidence for the watching, occasionally enter the upper, a telepathic message to the fact that this. Thank you.